oferta diferenciada de produtos e experiências. Será moderado por Tito Rosa, Presidente da Liga para a Proteção da Natureza. Este painel será dividido em duas partes, uma primeira parte antes do coffee break e a segunda parte após. Vai tomar a palavra o Secretário de Estado do Turismo, Adolfo Mesquita Nunes.
Muito bom dia a todos. Queria agradecer, em primeiro lugar, o convite para estar aqui. Eu não sei se me posso sobrepor a este barulho de fundo. Posso. Para falar sobre áreas protegidas, marcas e modelos de gestão, mas mais especificamente sobre a promoção de destinos de turismo e natureza. O primeiro ponto que eu gostava de realçar é que, quando falamos de turismo, normalmente associamos a construção. Mesmo os fundos comunitários, sempre que se fala de fundos comunitários para o turismo, normalmente associamos a construção ou requalificação. Mas o turismo é hoje muito mais do que hotéis ou restaurantes, embora a hotelaria e a restauração sejam componentes muito importantes do turismo. Quando falamos em turismo, vamos, para além disso, vamos para a animação turística, vamos para a cultura, vamos para o ambiente, vamos para tudo aquilo que permite uma experiência ao turista. O turista hoje procura muito mais do que um quarto de hotel, procura viver uma experiência. Isto é uma nova geração de turistas, é uma nova geração de turismo que passou do alojamento e do produto para as experiências. E todo o foco das políticas de turismo dos principais países destinos turísticos mundiais passou precisamente do foco do produto para as experiências. O que é que nós podemos fazer para garantir que o turista encontra experiências que queira viver e depois partilhar? Isto obrigou a uma alteração nas políticas públicas na área do turismo que se vê em Portugal, mas que se vê também noutros países. Porque se durante muito tempo muitos países quiseram imitar-se uns aos outros nos produtos turísticos que ofereciam, e daí que houve tempos em que aquilo que se queria fazer em Portugal era resorts, em nome de um turismo de qualidade, ou de 5 estrelas, aquilo que se está a assistir no mundo inteiro é que o autêntico, o genuíno, o endógeno ganha uma relevância muito diferente. A minha geração, eu tenho 37 anos, quando eu tinha 14, 15, a ideia de passar férias com uma furgoneta pela costa alentejana não era alguma coisa que me atraísse. Vivíamos na ideia e na vontade de experimentar tudo o que fosse estrangeiro, tudo aquilo que nos pudesse tocar ou pôr-nos a par daquilo que se vivia e fazia no estrangeiro. Hoje, as novas gerações têm outra visão completamente distinta. E acho que o turismo deu um contributo importante para isso, porque nos abriu e porque nos pôs em contacto com o valor dos nossos ativos, mas, de facto, isto é uma tendência mundial. Daí que as políticas de turismo não possam estar já hoje focadas apenas na construção e na hotelaria, mas em tudo aquilo que pode garantir as experiências turísticas. Mas aí há um desafio acrescido, porque se nas outras áreas da economia nós podemos fechar as fronteiras para tentar proteger a nossa indústria, impedindo importações de produtos que concorram com os nossos, no turismo isso é absolutamente impossível, porque o turismo vive precisamente das fronteiras abertas. Se nós não tivermos aqui em Portugal um produto ou uma experiência inovadora e que o turista goste, ele vai buscá-la noutro país. E a democratização das viagens faz com que as hipóteses que ele tenha sejam hoje muito maiores do que tinha há 15, 20 anos atrás. Portanto, tanto vem para Lisboa ou para o Algarve, como vai para Bangkok, vai para Sydney ou para Nova Iorque. E, portanto, isto obriga-nos não só a tentar nas experiências, o que é que podemos fazer para garantir que elas existem, mas como é que nós podemos garantir que elas existem de forma inovadora, produtos inovadores. Dentro das experiências que Portugal tem para oferecer, está precisamente o turismo de natureza. Utilizo a expressão turismo de natureza aqui num sentido muito lato, não no sentido mais técnico. Tudo aquilo que tem a ver com a fruição dos valores naturais e dos nossos ativos naturais. Porque isto depois abre um leque de experiências distintas, como seja o birdwatching, ou o turismo equestre, ou os passeios pedestres e de bicicleta. E Portugal tem, mercê da sua localização geográfica, mas de políticas estaduais de muitos anos, um território bastante rico do ponto de vista da conservação da natureza. As áreas protegidas em Portugal e as áreas do território que estão protegidas permitem, de facto, que tenhamos esse recurso natural. E nem sempre esse recurso natural foi entendido como um ativo turístico. Mas ele hoje é um ativo turístico. Precisamente por isto, porque se o turista, aquilo que procura é o autêntico, é o natural, é o genuíno, se aquilo que ele procura é uma fruição do espaço, então, ou o espaço existe, é genuíno, está conservado, ou então ele não é um ativo turístico. É evidente que teremos sempre, de parte a parte, aqueles que acham que o ativo turístico do recurso natural não existe. Mas, para estas experiências, os recursos naturais são um ativo turístico. Eu utilizo a palavra ativo porque, de facto, tem um valor económico. Às vezes nem sempre isso se percebe. Mas, para uma empresa de animação turística que faz passeios em áreas protegidas ou que faz desportos radicais em rios, se o rio desaparecer ou estiver poluído, a atividade turística deixa de poder executar-se aí. Claro que a livre funcionamento das empresas de animação turística não é suficiente para garantir a limpeza do rio. Portanto, temos que compatibilizar isto com as políticas de conservação. Mas também é verdade que a circunstância de termos empresas de animação turística e turistas permite receitas para poder ajudar a conservação e são um auxiliar da conservação, porque estão lá, podem vigiar o território e ter um papel importante na sensibilização e na educação ambiental. E depois há um conjunto grande de novas atividades que aparecem e que conseguem casar e conciliar os vários agentes do território e sensibilizá-los para o ambiente. Quando o projeto é suficientemente bom e atrativo, quando ele gera emprego, quando ele gera uma dinâmica regional, todos os atores regionais estão convidados para a sua preservação. E se eles forem, sobretudo, envolvidos. Há experiências nesse sentido em Portugal. Estou a ver ali a Marta. E, portanto, que vamos ouvir a seguir, não é? E, portanto, o projeto da Rota Vicentina é um bom projeto nesse sentido. Começa por ser, se estiver errado, depois a Marta vai-me corrigir, mas começa por ser a primeira constatação de que temos ali recurso e que um recurso que está a ser aproveitado de forma muito atomizada por vários agentes turísticos e a percepção de que, se ganhar organização e escala, conseguimos não só ter um produto transformado em experiência que se vende melhor, mas também conseguimos criar dinâmicas que ajudam à preservação do recurso. E se nós começarmos a envolver a cultura, a igreja, os agentes sociais, as misericórdias, etc., e se os convidarmos para participarem no projeto, eles são atores desse projeto. E, portanto, aquilo que vinha aqui dizer não é tanto publicitar o turismo como uma forma de conciliar as duas áreas, a economia com o ambiente, mas dizer que há um enorme campo de trabalho pela frente e que é perfeitamente conciliável, desde que tenhamos noções claras sobre o papel de um e de outro, o turismo em áreas protegidas, com oferta diferenciada de produtos e de experiências. E porquê é que isto tem um enorme campo de trabalho? Porque as previsões de crescimento do turismo em Portugal são grandes no mundo inteiro. É um facto, porque o turismo é uma atividade que vai crescer nos próximos anos no mundo inteiro. Portugal está a crescer acima de todas as médias, procuraremos continuar a crescer, mas ainda que estivéssemos a crescer à média mundial, estaríamos a crescer 4%. Nós estamos a crescer 12%, mas estaríamos a crescer. Mas dentro das viagens de lazer, o turismo de natureza está a crescer face ao turismo de sol e mar, que é o maior produto, e ao turismo cultural. Está a crescer muito. E está a crescer muito em países ou em mercados que são os principais mercados emissores para Portugal. São os mercados europeus. Está a crescer muito com os turistas alemães, está a crescer muito com os franceses, com os escandinavos, com os irlandeses, e esses são um dos nossos principais mercados. Portanto, a tendência de crescimento ou do interesse por estas áreas é maior. Portanto, é uma oportunidade económica para a qual os agentes turísticos têm que ser convidados ou têm que perceber. E eu acho que a animação turística tem, de facto, percebido. Depois, por outro lado, temos, a partir daqui, um enorme campo de trabalho, porque, felizmente, temos um território preservado. Ou seja, nós não temos aqui, do ponto de vista das áreas naturais e das áreas protegidas, que tentar desfazer coisas para termos produto. Ele já cá está e já existe. E, portanto, aquilo que temos de conseguir fazer, e é isso que temos procurado fazer no Governo, é interagir de forma cautelosa e passo a passo para criar condições para que o turismo de natureza seja uma realidade vivida e não uma realidade artificial, e que de facto seja possível fazê-lo. Mas nós podemos no Governo fazer legislação o melhor possível. Estamos agora a trabalhar na alteração do diploma para enfim, promover e dinamizar o turismo de natureza, garantindo, enfim, tudo aquilo que há para garantir. E podemos também pôr legislação e fundos comunitários que possam ajudar e cativar as empresas a fazê-lo. Mas sem a mudança de mentalidades dos agentes públicos, isso não se faz. Não é possível. Nós podemos criar uma enorme oportunidade do ponto de vista legislativo se no dia-a-dia ela não for percebida pelos agentes públicos e também privados, mas pelos públicos, então nada se faz. E, portanto, o repto aqui não foi tanto falar sobre o crescimento do turismo e o turismo de natureza, porque tenho aqui muitos números que vos posso dar, nem sequer sobre o comportamento ambiental das empresas do turismo, que também tenho aqui uns números que são bastante interessantes, mas para vos dar conta da oportunidade que nós temos aqui, mas que sem isso, sem a mudança de mentalidades, ela não é possível e, portanto, era esse o repto. Mas posso-vos dar aqui alguns exemplos que eu acho que são interessantes. Em primeiro lugar, que temos tido vários projetos na área do turismo que têm tido reconhecimento internacional do ponto de vista e cuja o seu ativo é precisamente o respeito pela natureza. Os Açores, por exemplo, que será um destino que eu espero que cresça bastante nos próximos tempos, mas já tivemos a primeira certificação mundial Starlight Tourism Destination, ou o galardão da Carta Europeia do Turismo Sustentável para os Açores, a Ericeira, Reserva Mundial de Surf, que é outro exemplo de... Fala-se muito da economia do mar, mas eu acho que o surf é o melhor exemplo e o mais rápido de aproveitamento da economia do mar e a forma como o surf e o turismo de surf alteraram e criaram dinâmicas naquelas regiões. Mas, por exemplo, dizer-vos que a área da energia continua, de acordo com o impacto, o inquérito relativo ao impacto ambiental dos empreendimentos turísticos, com questões que... relativos à atividade em 2013, 62% dos empreendimentos têm já uma gestão racional dos recursos existentes. Climatização com intensidade regulável pelo cliente e ar-condicionado eficiente são ações concretas em 85% dos hotéis de 5 estrelas e mais de 75% dos hotéis de 4%. Aproveitamento de energia solar, aldeamentos turísticos e nos hotéis de 3 estrelas, nos aldeamentos turísticos 50% deles têm já e hotéis de 3 estrelas 32%. A área relativa ao recurso de água fixa em 56% dos empreendimentos, o nível de adesão a uma gestão feita de forma racional. Mais de 83% dos hotéis de 5 estrelas, por exemplo, têm autocolismos de baixo consumo, redutores de caudal nas torneiras e chuveiros e mudam as toalhas e os lençóis a pedido dos clientes. As torneiras, temporizadores nas torneiras, hotéis de 5 estrelas, mais de 60% dos hotéis têm temporizadores. Portanto, para vos dar vários exemplos, sem que a lei obrigasse a nada disto. Ou seja, a consciência ambiental por parte dos empreendimentos turísticos também existe. Portanto, por fim, porque eu falo de improviso e, portanto, depois estico-me um bocadinho, dizer que acho que temos aqui alguns desafios pela frente. O primeiro, eu disse, é a mudança de mentalidades, perceber e olhar para o setor privado como um parceiro na preservação. E o setor privado tem que olhar para o setor público não como uma ameaça que está destinada a impedi-lo de trabalhar, mas tem que perceber também, de facto, que a preservação tem que ser determinada por quem sabe, não é? E, portanto, tem que haver, de facto, esta conciliação. Trazer para este fenómeno mais do que os empreendimentos turísticos, ou pensar nos hoteleiros, trazer as empresas de animação turística, mas outros agentes regionais, e sensibilizá-los para o ativo turístico de que temos em causa. Um maior envolvimento de todos os agentes nestas parcerias, isso parece-me importante, perceber e valorizar os produtos endógenos, porque é isso que os turistas querem, e dar um valor económico a isto. Eu acho que a marca Natural.PT é um ótimo passo nesse sentido. Criar marca para podermos, de facto, promover. Por fim, a promoção do destino a Portugal foi feita durante muitos anos com base em campanhas destinadas a promover Portugal como um destino turístico. Foi aquilo que se fez desde sempre. Portanto, Portugal, um bom destino turístico para férias. Portugal, as melhores praias do mundo. Portugal, o melhor peixe do mundo. Nós abandonámos há 3 anos essa política. Nós deixámos de promover Portugal como um destino turístico. Precisamente porque aquilo que os turistas querem hoje não é um destino turístico. Querem experimentar. E, portanto, em vez de termos campanhas a falar de nós próprios, a que os turistas hoje já dão pouca importância, atuámos em 2 frentes. A primeira foi abandonar as campanhas, os anúncios pagos e trazer os jornalistas a Portugal. Mas não lhes dizer os percursos, com certeza que depois ajudamos a definir percursos, as regiões de turismo têm ajudado também nisso, mas trazer os jornalistas a viver e a experimentar. E é curioso, porque passámos a descobrir nós próprios coisas a que os jornalistas davam atenção e que anteriormente não davam, e conseguimos começar a falar de Portugal, não só por aquilo que oferecíamos como destino, mas pelas experiências que cá vivíamos. E é muito engraçado que hoje fala-se da arte urbana, como se pode falar do turismo de surf, como se pode falar dos castelos de Portugal, porque permitiu-se ter muito mais abrangência na mensagem. Quando só se tem dinheiro para fazer 2 ou 3 campanhas por ano, escolhem-se umas praias e diz-se venha para Portugal. Quando temos esta política de captação de jornalistas que se espalham pelo território todo, eles vão falando daquilo que vão encontrando. Isto permitiu falar de mais coisas do que se falava antes. E depois, uma alteração profunda que fizemos, não foi muito consensual na altura, mas eu penso que os resultados hoje falam por si, que foi de passar a fazer a campanha através do marketing digital. Isso permite-nos segmentar as mensagens de acordo com os clientes. Quando eu falo em marketing digital, as pessoas pensam que eu estou a falar de uma página da internet. É muito mais do que isso. Para vos dar um exemplo, nós conseguimos identificar, nos mercados em que queremos, as pessoas que estão à procura, por exemplo, de férias em Espanha. E conseguimos bombardeá-los com promoção a Portugal. Todas as páginas da internet que essas pessoas vão visitar vão ter lá anúncios sobre Portugal. E se a pessoa procurou férias em família, em Espanha, não lhes vai aparecer um anúncio com uma praia. Vai-lhes aparecer um anúncio com uma família. E com uma frase dita por um turista de família que esteve em Portugal. E, portanto, é ele a falar de Portugal e não nós. Isso permite-nos, de facto, segmentar a mensagem. E o turismo de natureza é segmentável. Ou seja, é possível perceber, através do marketing digital, quem é que são estas pessoas e o que é que elas querem. É um dos maiores desafios do futuro, o conhecimento, e porque aquilo que não vai demorar muito tempo até que seja possível ao dono do hotel saber, antes do turista lá chegar, qual é que é a marca favorita de água e de vinho e de cerveja do turista, e ter isso no minibar em vez de ter outros produtos quaisquer, não vai demorar muito tempo, e, portanto, o conhecimento vai-nos permitir continuar a densificar esta promoção. Pronto, termino então agradecendo mais uma vez o convite para estar aqui. Espero ter-vos sensibilizado para a causa do turismo e ter-vos demonstrado que o turismo está sensibilizado para os ativos naturais. E estou convencido que as nossas áreas protegidas podem, de facto, ser um ativo e uma marca importante para continuarmos a ter e a crescer como destino turístico. E nós não temos turistas a mais, felizmente, nós temos ainda muito por onde crescer e por onde nos afirmarmos como destino turístico. Muito obrigado.
Bom dia a todos. Eu penso que vêm todos os convidados para a mesa, sim. O Paulo. Julgo que falta a Marta. Sim. E o Pedro Prata também. Muito bem, então, constituída esta mesa, e depois de lhes dar, portanto, os bons dias, gostava de agradecer em nome da Liga Proteção da Natureza, eu sou Presidente da Liga para a Proteção da Natureza, o convite para participar neste evento da Natural.PT e também moderar este painel sobre turismo e economia verde. Trata-se de facto de um enorme desafio de construir um negócio em torno do usufruto do património natural, de forma que desse negócio todos beneficiam, a começar pela conservação dos valores naturais, mas também pela partilha dos resultados com as comunidades locais. Entre nós, como sabemos, o desafio é ainda maior, porque o rendimento médio das classes médias é ainda relativamente reduzido para este tipo de atividades, o nível de sensibilização e de cultura pelo património natural é ainda frágil, e só recentemente a valorização do património natural na economia e na política começou a ter algum realce, ainda que, naturalmente, com alguma timidez e às vezes alguma inconsistência. As nossas áreas protegidas têm relevantes dificuldades, mas também contêm enormes desafios e que derivam fundamentalmente do seu perfil, que, como sabeis, na maior parte dos casos, são áreas protegidas com bastante atividade humana e dependem muito da atividade humana. Mas não estou aqui eu para falar do assunto, são os convidados que irão transmitir com propriedade e maior propriedade que a minha as suas experiências e como é que ultrapassaram estes desafios e venceram-nos e tornaram as áreas protegidas dos seus países ou das experiências com que contactam casos de sucesso e, portanto, atingiram o objetivo de sustentar uma economia verde com base nas áreas e nos parques naturais. Somos bastantes, mas vamos tentar ser breves relativamente às intervenções de cada um. Começo por pedir desculpa pela forma como vou dizer os nomes de alguns dos nossos convidados, mas vou começar desde já pelo Sr. Ivar Rukel, que nos vem da Estónia e que é sócio de uma empresa de turismo, de Natureza, no Soma Park, na Estónia, e ainda é guia de várias atividades e fundador de uma associação de ecoturismo, ensinando também turismo de natureza numa universidade em Estónia. Sr. Rukel, por favor.
Yes, hello, good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. It's my third time in Portugal, second time in this nice capital, Lisbon. I come from Estonia and the National Park Soma, you see the... I will better not try. So you see the logotype in the center there, it's a Sooma Rahvuspark, meaning a national park, and then the other logotype, Sooma.com, which is my company. So I am not working for government. I just happened to live in the place where 22 years ago, when Estonia got independent, established one of the national parks. And I am very happy about it because that time I started my nature tourism business, and it's not a big business, it is more a lifestyle company, but it works very well. So we will tell in a short time, 10 minutes or maybe 12 minutes, a little bit about this. So where Estonia is, I believe you all know where it is, but still I made a little map, and our national park is in the middle of the country. The country is rather small. Portugal is a small country, sure, but Estonia is even smaller. It is a size of Denmark or size of Netherlands, but it has 15 times less people than in Netherlands. So you can imagine that the country of size of Netherlands, 15 times less people, it means also 15 times more nature. So simple as that. So our population is about the population of Lisbon, maybe a little bit more. And half of the country is forest. About 1/5 of the country are marshes, or most of them bogs, peat bogs, rice bogs, depending if your previous knowledge about this type of wetlands, but they have established after the ice age, so they still grow every year about 1 millimeter, and the peat is accumulating. So it is a very interesting and typical also for many other Nordic countries, and with this percentage, only Finland is ahead of us. So Estonia is country number 2 in the list of how much marshes, boglands there are. Our first protected area was created 102 years ago, so 103 now. So some years ago we celebrated 100 years of nature protection, and you see also about 50 different types of protected areas. And it has a long coastline, so we also have a lot of islands and islets. Only few of them have inhabited, but mostly they are just small and without population. We have these nice cats. I believe these are Iberian cats. I haven't asked anybody, but Iberian lynx. So ours are lynx, the normal European lynx. We have them very much also in our park. So in our national park, there is going on a research project, I think almost 10 years now. Researchers are serving wolves and lynx and having collars with radio, now with satellite following them. And the population of all 3 carnivores is quite okay in Estonia, always been. In Soviet time also, now 25 years of independence. And one sign for that is that these scientists, they even have catched some of the lynx to take it to Poland in order to get the Polish population some fresh blood. So here are the 5 parks. Now I try again. Yes, it works. So in the north there is Lahemaa, close to our capital Tallinn. Anyway, it is the oldest of the national parks. Even in the Soviet Union, it was the first national park in Soviet Union, established in the 70s. In the west coast there is Matsalu, which is a bird paradise. Also Vilsandi on the west coast of biggest island. It is very much birds and marine and also coastline. Then inside from coast, like half an hour drive. I will show you like this. This is where is located Sooma National Park, so the place where I come from. And then in south there is even one more. So other areas that are indicated here, there are different types of nature parks, landscape reserves. We have also intensive Natura 2000 network. And the name Sooma, So is mire or bog, and Ma is land, so it is a land of mires. This is a very typical photo of the landscape with a pool. It's not only like pools everywhere, but in some places. And the park was established now 20 plus years ago. As I said, it is a member or of a Ramsar Convention area since 90s. We have altogether 15 Ramsar sites in Estonia. It is an important bird area. It is a Natura 2000 area. It has been certified by Pan Parks. Unfortunately, this scheme does not longer exist. And it last thing is related to tourism. It won European Commission Eden Award for Sustainable Tourism Destinations, which is it's run by European Commission. Every year they have different theme. So this year it is also soon be possible to apply for the award. But this year the theme is culinary tourism. So 2009, it was a tourism in protected areas, so when we got it. And I think we have no internet connection here. But you will see the slides, so there is like a very short 1-minute video that give you maybe better understanding.
There is connection if you want.
Oh, do we have time? Let's do it, yes.
No, it's not like that.
It's not.
No, go on. You must...
It's not so important. And about brands, so these all awards, certificates, and different things that add to the status of our area, of our park. Of course, they also add to our branding. But there is no better brand, according to my experience, than the status of national park itself. This is something that my customers say. When they come to Estonia, they have no idea about Sooma. They have no idea about other toponyms or the other places. But what they normally look is national park. So this is how both of them discover us. And the rest of the things, I haven't seen that they so much looked for from market perspective. And other thing that is unique about Sooma, and which has been now really well known in Estonia and coming slowly, but coming to be known in our neighboring countries, like where our closest markets are, it is that this area has a very specific hydrological phenomenon. It has 5 seasons, not normal 4, but even then 1 more, which can occur together with the others. Most often it happens in the end of March, beginning of April, when all the snow melts. And there is a system of rivers, 7 rivers coming together. It's also quite a flat area, like a plate. And water outgoes only through 1 river, and the river banks there are like 10-15 meters, but inside the park only 2 meters. So there is like 100 kilometers of area which is flooded, not every year, but some years. And during last 5 years, it has been during 2 years, like very high. So you can take a canoe and go to paddle in the forest. That's also what we offer for our customers. And Estonia's Sooma Park, it's like becoming known as Amazon of Estonia. And here you can see also some farms, very few of them. There is only 60 people living inside the national park. But this is one particular place, and there are some others that get water around their houses and sometimes even inside the houses. So it is, of course, not very comfortable for people who live there, but they never have left the place. So it means that they love it so much that they still live there. And it's not only in spring, it can even happen in winter, and with changes in a climate, it has happened quite often, almost as often as the very high floods in the spring. Almost so many we had during like 20 last years winter floods. And then usually it means like 1 week, 10 days warm weather, the flood comes, and then the cold weather comes. Like we always get like warm weather from Scandinavia, from Gulf Stream, and then from continent, Eurasia, the cyclones coming in, and so the ice, everything becomes ice. It happens also last winter, but this picture is from like 2 or 3 years ago. And all these ice fields becoming, water fields, or lake becomes an ice field. What we do then is different winter activities there, skating and kick, sledding, and the ice gets around the trees, so it's very interesting to see. One thing I'm coming to then now is connected to the floods is that in Estonia, in Sooma, there is a living tradition of building old one-log boats, or dugout canoes, how it is called also in other sides of Atlantic. So these boats, as this type of boat, it is probably the oldest boat. It's quite logical that before you started to saw planes and built plank boats, planks, then the only way was to build it from one huge log. And even today it's found in all continents. Very little in Europe, but I have been visiting some other Finno-Ugric people in Russia, like in St. Petersburg area. There are also in remote villages in the forest some other Finno-Ugric tribes that built still these boats. So when we started our activities in 90s, there was old man who was building these boats and who have learned it in 1950s after war when they was young. So we had several courses. Now these two men unfortunately has gone, but we have it as a tourism. It's on our offer as a not every day, but in a specific dates you can come and join building this kind of boats. And these are my partners. The guy left we are two owners, but others are local guides, cook, and it is not a big company, and it is quite depending on the summer season, but we have activities year round, and we all have some other activities as well, like the older guy there has a farming, and other lady works in a nature school. I have myself involved a little bit at university, so one day during here I am working in University of Life Sciences.
2 minutes, please.
Yeah, and these are our offers, so we do mainly two things. Canoeing on the rivers, walking on the bogs and in the forest, and some winter activities. And the ways we promote us is very much word by mouth, so it is just not only repeat customers, but friends of the friends, and nowadays it is going more and more to Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, not so much, but Instagram and Vine and these new things that are popping up. We also cooperate with other businesses inside the park, our own park. There are guest houses and also, of course, travel agencies in Tallinn, our capital, some foreign travel agencies as well, German especially. And we have about half of the customers Estonians, half of them are foreigners. Mostly we work with small groups, individuals. We take only also one person, and we are starting to get more and more study trips, which is also very interesting. So, I'm sorry if I used a little bit more minutes, but I think questions will be at the end, yeah?
Yes, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Muito bem, e agora dar a palavra ao Sr. Gudmundur Ogmundsson, que nos vem da Islândia. É consultor do Parque Vatnajökull, estudou turismo rural, foi Parque Ranger, estagiou no National Park Service dos Estados Unidos e, portanto, traz-nos a sua experiência do parque na Islândia. Por favor, please.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers of this event for inviting Vatnajökull National Park to attend this seminar, allowing us to share our experiences and learn from others' experiences. I'm going to divide my presentation into two parts. In the beginning, I'm going to talk a little bit about Iceland, and in the latter part, I will talk more about Vatnajökull National Park, the organization that I am representing. I was a bit surprised yesterday when people started to talk about Portugal as a small country. In my mind, Portugal has always been a fairly large country, but then I realized it may have something to do with the fact that you are pretty good at football. And I was more surprised when I found out that Iceland is actually larger than Portugal. It's 103,000 square kilometers, while Portugal is some 93,000 square kilometers. So it's 10% less. However, when it comes to populations, the Portuguese outnumber us by 30 to 1. You are 10 million, and we are 320,000. This is Iceland. It's an island, a volcanic island, a distant relative of the Azore Islands in the North Atlantic Ocean, right below the Arctic Circle. What is interesting about Iceland is that 2/3 of the population live in Reykjavik, in the southwest corner over here. That's also the position of the international airport. While the rest, 1/3 of the population, lives on the coastline, in towns and villages and farms. The rest of the country, the Central Highlands, is an uninhabited area, mainly. And the reason for that is rather simple. It's very volcanic. It has a lot of glaciers. It's a highland plateau with vicious weather, heavy windstorms and snowfall in the winter and sometimes in the summer too. Anyway, Guðríður, my compatriot, mentioned yesterday the national parks. The first national park was established in 1930 by Lake Þingvellir over here. Then in 1967, a national park was established in Skaftafell, which is right down here below the glacier of Vatnajökull. And in 1973, a national park was established up north in Jökulsárgljúfur, over here. These two parks are in many ways similar. They both have a favorable microclimate, and so at least in Icelandic terms and context, it has a lot of vegetation. It has even trees, which we do not have in other parts of Iceland almost. And when both parks were established, the emphasis was on making a network of trails and making good campgrounds, so it was easy for people to come in there and stay for a while and do some hiking and stuff they like to do. And it became quite popular among Icelanders, and then foreign visitors came in the footsteps. But in the middle of the 1990s, the first ideas emerged about putting those two parks together into one park, along with some extensive areas in between them, the highland area and the whole ice cap of Vatnajökull Glacier. And to make a long story short, this idea came to fruit in 2008 when Vatnajökull National Park was established. And you can see it's the green area here on the southeastern part of the country, along with Jökulsárgljúfur up here in the north, which doesn't really show in this map. Now, it's a big park. It's almost 14,000 square kilometers, making it the second biggest park in Europe. And the biggest one is a park in northwest Russia that I don't think anyone here has ever heard of, Igudva. Maybe some of you have. But anyway, it's big, and it would actually be the largest national park in the United States outside of those in Alaska. It's bigger than Yellowstone, and it's bigger than Death Valley. However, in terms of infrastructure, the park is quite small, and we are 15 people who work there full-time throughout the year. 3 of them are located in our head office in Reykjavik, and the rest is spread around 6 outposts around the country, or around the park itself. Then we do receive a lot of help from seasonal staff in the summer, and we also have a lot of volunteers who come through a program run by the Environmental Agency, and most of those volunteers come from the mainland of Europe or the United Kingdom. If you look at pictures from Vatnajökull National Park, you can see that they are very diverse. There is no single element that is specific for Vatnajökull National Park. It's just portrays Iceland in general, I like to think. So you have all these features within the park, but you don't have them, all of them, in every corner of the park, not within every place in the park. So when you think about Vatnajökull National Park, no specific pictures comes to mind. So it's a bit maybe hard to relate to in many ways. It's just Iceland. And the park also has a vast spectrum of like services and infrastructure. And if we, for example, compare the lowland park in Skaftafell, and this would be representative of Jökulsárgljúfur National Park also, there we have this tarmac road leading to the national park. It's passable 360 days per year, and you can go there in any type of vehicle. However, when you look at the highland roads, here we have a typical one on the Sprengisandur route. Actually, this one is one of the most traveled one. It's accessible only a small part of the year. Maybe it opens in early July, sometimes mid-July. It depends on when the snow has gone away. And usually it closes down in the autumn when the first snow falls. And you have no services there except maybe this, what we call a mountain hut, where we have accommodation in sleeping bags, but you won't find a gas station on the way, and you won't find any food services or anything.
2 minutes, please.
Yes, okay. So here we have Skaftafell. Here we have a paved path leading to an outlet glacier, probably the only one only outlet glacier with a wheelchair access in the world, I think. Here we have a rugged path, typical of the paths in the highlands of Iceland. And here we have the campsite in Skaftafell with hot showers, with Wi-Fi and washing machine and everything. And here we have a primitive campsite in Snæfell. We have, well, no hot showers and no internet, but we have snow in mid of July surrounding the campsite. Only 2 minutes. So I'm going to skip this. We had, just go briefly through this, we have had a lot of increase in visitor numbers, in Skaftafell especially, throughout the year, mostly in winter, which is giving us a great opportunity for regional development. Young people are grabbing this opportunity, or they have now can open their own business, and instead of moving to the capital or Reykjavik, they are now staying in the region, starting their own businesses. And that's partially help of the national park, which started to stay open throughout the year. And it was a joint operation of the park and the local businesses, for instance, the hotels and the restaurants and the activity providers for the tourists. So people started to come with the increased services. This is not the case everywhere. Here you can see the red line is Skaftafell, and you can see how the tourism has been going up. But Jökulsárgljúfur, the other national park, is the green line. And then we have a few highland areas which are just flatliners. There is nothing happening there, even though there is a big increase in tourism in the country. This is Kverkfjöll. Anyway, we have to do something about this because the objectives of the park, the first three ones are maybe the same as with any other national park. But the fourth one is a bit of a novelty. It is the object of the park to strengthen communities and business activity in the vicinity of the park. And it's just written in the laws of the park. So what we are planning to do, we are working on a new promotional strategy. What we found out what we've seen is that when the park was established, there was no promotional strategy in place. Just by creating this big park, people expected that it would become automatically famous throughout the world just for the size of it, and people will flock there and fill every corner of the park with their dollars and euros. That did not happen. But even though we didn't have a promotion plan, we have still worked on promotion. We, of course, like any other protected area, we have a limited funding, but we are trying through the internet, through social media, by updating wiki sites and merchandise. But until now, with this little promotion we've done, we've been focusing on the park as a single unit, which tends to be unsuitable for regional marketing offices. And it can also pose a little problem when we have an eruption in one corner of the park. It can bring negative discourse about the park, even though it's not affecting but one place. And this is an example from last year with the eruption in Hollurhraun. So what we're going to do in the future is we are going to identify travel zones within the park based on the different aspects of and attributes of each zone. And we are going to focus more on finding the tourists, finding the people who are seeking different experience. For instance, in Kverkfjall, which is a very primitive place, there are certain types of people who like to come to such a place, while others want to come to places with more services. We are going to try to create an identity for each travel zone, not a brand shouldn't be there. And we're going to build it on this brand that we already have, which is a national park. Not Vatnajökull National Park, but a national park. And by this we want to enhance place attachment or a sense of a place, and create a viable product for the marketing offices, etc., and let them use their money to promote the park for the benefit of everybody involved. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Vamos agora ouvir Odvin, que nos vem da Noruega, é biólogo, é gestor de recursos naturais, faz parte de uma associação norueguesa de trekking desde 1991 e trabalha muito em cooperação com várias organizações não governamentais.
Thank you very much. I have some, both information and some viewpoints from the non-governmental sector of Norway. I'm going to use the abbreviation DNT, and that means the Norwegian Trekking Association. You see our name in Norwegian in the lower right corner there. And what we are doing is basically this. We are trying to provide for experience nature for life. That's what we are doing. Let me give you a very brief history. We are approaching 150 years. We are more than 250,000 members in 57 member organizations, and that's important. We are an association, and these 57 member organizations are independent in their activities, but still coordinated. We have actually been present in national parks long before these parks were established. It was actually our chairman in 1904 that promoted the idea of establishing national parks in Norway. It took a while until that happened. Also, we discovered fairly soon that nature has to be protected from our own activities. And that is an important issue. We are today actively working for protection of nature. I have mentioned a few examples here. We care about waterfalls and rivers. We work actively against recreational motorized use of nature and against harmful wind power projects as examples. This is how the map looks like when we look at the southern part of Norway, and you see the trails, the marked. This is the summer trails, and there's a pattern here. You can see there's some concentration in the mountainous areas, and those correspond fairly well with national parks, national park areas. We also have a lot of activity and trails and so on close to the cities, for instance, especially in the Oslo area. I will be showing some numbers here now, and they might not, they could be maybe confusing, and it's not that important, but they illustrate the volume of our activities, and you should keep in mind that this is the combined numbers for 57 organizations. These are the marked summer trails. In winter we use sticks like this. Those sticks you will actually need in a snowstorm to find your way. We have 43 staffed huts with food and accommodation. We have a large number of simple huts with or without a food storage. These are self-catering huts. They can look like this or like this. Many of them are very, very simple. Volunteering is important. All this activity could not happen without volunteers. And when we add up all the hours, it's quite a large number. These people seem to have a good time in a nice weather and everything, and thus they fall down, of course. But when people do other types of work, they have to deal with any kind of weather, any kind of terrain, and that's when we hear this quote, "I would never do this for money." And that says a lot, because what people are after is that people want to contribute. We have guided tours and courses, and these courses very often has to do with safety, education in safety in outdoor life. Youth groups are very active, and we have the last 15 years we have established 200 children's groups run by the children's parents. If we look at the map of a part of Norway, you will see that our huts are the red ones here, like this one, and this one, and this one. And they are situated in the central, more wilderness parts of the mountains. But then we very often, like this, we have privately owned huts in the places where usually you can drive a car to these places. And this is a system altogether. We do have some cooperation, and this is how it works. We are allowed to be in the central wilderness parks, even in the national parks. And we have a role there. Of course, all this activity will create some positive economic effects. Employment of local workforce is very important. Purchasing of goods and services, the use of local stores, hotels, and businesses. And in this context, the staffed huts are the most important in creating economic activity. Now, I have mentioned here a few basic or background phenomena. I even call them prerequisites because they have to be in place. Free access to nature for all is actually important. It's including foreigners, and this takes place on all undeveloped, uncultivated land, regardless of land ownership, and not only on trails. And we have I think, fairly strong cultural perception of outdoor activity as a mentally and bodily healthy and otherwise meaningful leisure time. And keep in mind that most of the activity takes part in a social arena of some sort. And we have a broad spectrum of activities promoted by non-commercial and commercial actors for all age groups, which is important. And we actually utilize all natural habitats, not only protected areas, as I mentioned, also the forests and lowland areas near the cities. A restriction to access to nature is something we must accept, but it must be well reasoned. And one reason to do one point about that is that we want our population to protect nature, and then it's very helpful that people actually know nature and use nature. And the recruiting of children and youth is essential. We have, as I mentioned, about 250 or even 260,000 members, which is actually 5% of the Norwegian population. And why has this been on the increase? Well, a few points can be like this. We try to focus on core values. It's cheap. It pays to be a member, especially when you use the staffed huts. It's non-competitive. It's for all. Low threshold activities as well as advanced. This takes place in nature of high quality, and volunteering is essential, as I said. So we have these slogans we try to follow: credible, including, simple, real, nature-friendly, climate-friendly. Climate-friendly, yes. In this context, Europeans should mainly use nature in their own country, or must mainly use nature in their own country.
2 minutes, please.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to end this by mentioning a few topics. The role of volunteerism, I have been touching upon that. The question is, could all this activity have been created by commercial interest or even governmental interests? I don't think so. Partly this has to do with the relationship with the landowners. Local people in an organization like ours have a very positive relationship with landowners. This is important. And I say that maybe we should be a little bit careful, at least think about when we are using terms adopted from the business economists. Of course, we also have tools. We do branding, we do marketing, we learn from business economists also. But then what we are doing has some characteristics that makes this worth thinking about. What people are seeking are experiences in and with nature. This experience is personal and intimate. People are members with pride, they are not customers. The social aspects are important. And there are few quantifiable values, or maybe you could say that the quantifiable values are not the most important ones even. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Senhor. I ask Ivar. Muito bem, depois destas três apresentações, nós abrirmos aqui um curto espaço para colocarem alguma questão que quisessem aos nossos convidados, para depois a seguir fazermos o coffee break e as outras intervenções com os nossos convidados. Não sei se querem colocar, alguém quer questão?
Good morning. I'm Ricardo Mendes. I'm a biologist and I'm a PhD student on geography and regional planning. I have one simple question for the last presentation that is regarding with how many sleepovers do you have in Norway in those small shelters in high mountains that you have shown us? Because we had that figure for accommodation in natural parks a couple of years ago that was changed, and I'm wondering how much potential we might have lost in Portugal regarding that change of legislation.
I should know the numbers. I didn't bring them. They are in the hundreds of thousands. At least, I mean, one hut can have 20,000. The major huts in the more popular areas can have 25,000 people staying over. So it's a very large number, but I'm afraid I don't have the numbers. For the unstaffed, I mean, the simpler huts, the numbers are altogether also high, but quite a lot of the people staying over are using the staffed huts.
Bom dia, João Cardoso Melo, Câmara Municipal de Cascais. Pergunto ao painel que mecanismos utilizam ou têm para monitorizar o impacto da visitação sobre estas áreas protegidas, estes parques naturais, perceber quais são os fluxos e que impacto é que têm, quer os trilhos, quer outras atividades que se façam, visto que ambos focaram muito a componente das atividades de outdoor e que impacto é que elas têm, ao fim e ao cabo, na conservação da natureza. E era isto, obrigado.
In regards of your questions, we try to control this through management plans which we make for every part of the park. The park, Vatnajökull National Park, is divided into 4 administrative regions, and for each of these administrations we have a management plan which deals with the effects, including the tourist effect on nature. in other ways, we try to do this, well, as you mentioned, by diverting people onto trails, make trails in the places where people want to go, and make sure that we have infrastructure for all the main attractions. And you can do a lot just by making the trails to the correct places, and if you design them correctly, you can prevent a lot of the problems that come with the number of people who visit. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to add as well that we have in Estonia similar ways, like was said by Gudmundur. It's management plan and trails and yeah, this infrastructure, but then additionally National Park collaborates with local businesses. So we all who run guided trips, like my own company, we have regular meetings twice a year normally. And also if it is a really high season, like this flooded area, flooded time has been really popular, and many other canoe companies from other places of Estonia came there on weekends. Then they had a special kind of way to inform they register all these participants and informing about how many there are and where there are. And the same way with the big groups, we have to always register it at here before we do it, so that there will be not like two big groups same time on the same trail, like to get rid of this kind of things. And about monitoring, I'm not involved myself, but I know that this State Forest Management organization who runs all these trails, they also now use a couple of years the counters, like they count people in an electronic way. That's it.
Good say. In general, this is not a very big problem. The problem is usually that people are using nature too little. We have a lot of space and trails, and but we do get into some challenges a few places, and it often has to do with reindeer population. We have to divert or close a few trails. We have to think about this when we develop new huts and routes. But as I said, in general, there is too little use of nature.
Só mais uma questão, depois teríamos que fazer o break.
Good morning. My name is Raquel Fialho. I'm the president of an association which is equal to the National Trust in England. And I'd like to ask you, how do you get your volunteers? Good volunteers, I guess, the ones that really work.
I think it was in the middle of the 1970s, a cooperation started between Skaftafell National Park, which is now a part of Vatnajökull National Park, and the British Trust for Conservation Volunteers, the BTCV. And this collaboration lasted until 2 years ago. So most of the trails, for instance, that are in Skaftafell have been built and maintained by volunteers from the United Kingdom. In 2000-something, the Environmental Agency of Iceland started their own project, volunteer project. And for that they have a website and everything, and volunteers can sign up with them there. Most of the volunteers come from the mainland of Europe, from Germany, Denmark, Holland, and places like that, and Spain, and even Portugal, some, and again from the UK. So the bulk of the volunteers came from the BTCV and from this volunteer program with the Environmental Agency of Iceland. And then 2 years ago, Vatnajökull National Park and the Environmental Agency started cooperating with an organization in the UK called Working Abroad. So now we are, and that was the first summer, was the last summer that we set up a program for volunteers to come to Skaftafell and work there. And last summer was the first summer that we had volunteers over through this program, and it was quite successful. And we find out that young people, especially from all over the world, want to come and work in the national park just to get to know other young people, and I think it's also good for their CV in general to have some work within the park, and often later they contact you and ask for reference regarding jobs applications and stuff like that, and luckily many of them to get such jobs. We are very happy to have helped young people get into this nature business.
Yeah, a small remark to add. In Soomaa National Park, we have had more than 10 years volunteers from Germany, and it is a kind of some long program that Germany has, so they can go, of course, to other places where they like, but something like ecological year or something like this, and they come for a long time, and normally 2 people together, so they get very much to know the park and do different things. But the other format that works quite well is like a one-day workshops for local people, for people around the park and from cities, for some cleanups or some maintenance work, or this half-day work, and then walking and having a soup or something together.
Yeah, very briefly, volunteering is actually on the increase. We talk about Norwegians in Norway, members, core members, if you like. Very often, people of my age or older, the people that is above from 60 to 80 or even more, are very valuable. They have time, they have enough money, basically, so they like to contribute. But all the volunteer work, they have to be organized. So, all together in our association, we are maybe 150 people employed. In the central unit where I work, we are 35 people. So they have to be organized and they have to be followed up. But that kind of work can also be done by volunteers.
Thank you. Muito obrigado. Nós vamos agora mesmo fazer o intervalo. Às 11h30, sem falta, retomaremos com os restantes convidados e depois um período breve também de debate. Muito obrigado.
Durante a pausa para café, poderão assistir a uma exibição do ensemble de saxofones da Escola da Orquestra Metropolitana de Lisboa. Até já.